Yeah, especially being a solo dev,
Mm,
there's only so many things that you can do at once, right? And
yeah.
you might be focused on working on the content, and when you're doing so, you're like, oh, well, here's this other area that's missing something, but you're the only one there, right? Like,
Yeah.
so
And it's like, yeah, go on.
are you doing everything? Did you buy assets for
Mhm.
music and sound, or is I assume
Yeah,
sound you probably bought stuff
yeah.
for.
Assets have been bought, absolutely. And, when it comes to sound, obviously sound effects, it'd be crazy not to buy
Yeah,
the
that's a
sound
really
effects
hard one.
because making your own sound effects is just not necessary. Music, I had the choice of doing music myself with my
Mhm.
synthesizer, but decided that I wanted to have a huge scope of music. So there's a mix of orchestral and sort of classic synthwave music,
Mm.
synthesizer type music, but also, very, very old school synthesizer music, like you might find in an 80s movie,
Mm, mm.
fantasy movie. Your Tangerine Dream kind of, or your Vangelis.
Mm, mm, mm.
So there's a mix of those kind of musics, and you can purchase that kind of music for your game at a very affordable price. So I went and did that.
Mhm.
When it comes to tile sets, yes, they're all purchased, and they all come from two artists that I found on itch.io. Um, when it comes to monster and human models,
Mhm.
they're all purchased as well.
Mhm.
And but I've done all the rendering to get all those into 2D, which has
Mhm.
been quite a lot of work, but I think it's worth it. You know, I have seen some, direct 2D to 3D kind of instant translation kind of layers,
Mhm.
but I'm not convinced it looks good
Mm.
as of yet. I think it will, but there at the moment, I thought that tr pre-rendering the 2D looked better.
Right, right.
So that's what I did for this game. And apart from that, you might think, well, that's all the game, but no. I did all the coding, I did all the design,
Mhm.
and I did all the putting it all together, which is another thing. In Unity,
Mhm.
you have to spend quite a lot of time just making, just making records and making prefabs, and that all takes a lot of time. And obviously making the level, it's just the level design process. So that was all me too.
Mhm.
So yeah, no contractors, just one dev and some purchased assets.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, even with that being the case, like it one of the concerns you sometimes have with games that have a lot of purchase assets is there's not really a coherent art style, and I don't that doesn't feel like the case here. It feels like everything kind of just works together.
Yeah, I'm glad you say that because that's been one of my concerns. Getting the 3D models to render in such a way that they look like they belong against the tile sets, it's been a real challenge.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if I talked to you about it, but it's not just resolution
Mm.
because the resolution of the tile set is 32 pixels.
Mm.
So if you make all of your models about 64 pixels high, then
Mm.
they look about two tiles high, and it's about right for a human. Um, if and your monsters can be, larger, obviously.
Sure.
But there's more to it than that because your color palette is really important. It needs to be a strict a low amount of colors. We're talking generally 32 or 64 colors,
Mhm.
and the contrast needs to be correct as well.
Mm.
So if your blacks aren't black enough versus the tile set, it looks weird. I've still got a
Mm.
bit of work to do on that, but I think the colors are looking good. When you reduce colors, you can also do some cool things with dithering. Do you know
Mm.
what dithering is? So yeah, it's a way of getting rid of all that shading that looks really more modern,
Mhm.
and it turns into a speckle pattern,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
and it looks very retro and very cool. So there's dithering in there.
Mhm.
And animation frame rate is important as well. So most of
Mm.
the games back then were 10 to 12 frames a second, not 30 frames a second. So I've done a lot of reduction of
Mhm.
frame counts. Um, and, particle effects as well. You need to get I've built a lot of particle effects. and they are obviously just they're very pixelated, and they're built to look like they belong on the tile map. And so once you put all those things together, I think that it's art direction essentially. You get something that looks like it all belongs together. And then the still art as well. So the still art is, just appears in various dialogue panels and things, and they're just generally 200 to 400 pixels wide to fit the same kind of resolution, and generally they're 256 colors because if you reduce those images down to 32 colors, they look bloody awful.
Right.
So it's a different kind of, it's more of a DOS PC look, VGA, which still looks like it fits, but it doesn't look terrible.
Right.
So I'm glad that you think it looks like it all fits together, because that's been one of the major focuses for the art.
I think the one thing that doesn't is the UI. The UI, the font feels too modern.
Right.
The lack of borders around the images, it just everything else. I think it stands out so much because of how much everything else kind of works together.
Okay. Yeah, I could definitely do some borders on the panels and the images. What I was thinking, the reason why the dialogue text is high resolution is because when you pixelate text, it becomes very hard to read.
Yeah.
So I've gone with high definition text. Some of the text is pixelated, some of the larger text and the UI text and stuff. Other bits of text are high resolution, and that just because you don't want to give your readers a headache.
Sure.
Because, but yeah, there's probably still some work on the text to make it all very fitting in with the art assets. And this is a known thing. So there's definitely polish to be done in the UI.